Sheikh Imran Hosein was recently interviewed on Radio 786, an Islamic radio station. Let's have a listen and we might take some notes as we go along.
Wikipedia describes you as an author, philosopher and a conspiracy theorist.
I don't know what is a conspiracy theorist. Can you kindly explain it to me?
Somebody that has theories about the world and intricately thinks about them. I think the term has a lot of negative connotations, unfortunately so.
I seem to understand anyone who penetrates the truth when they are telling lies, we are this conspiracy business.
Yeah, it's dismissed.
When we tell the truth while you are telling lies, then we are in conspiracy. I have no time for that nonsense.
Yeah. And how much of this journey of knowledge that you've been on, for the longest time, dealing with really intricate issues of matters of faith and politics and also, I suppose, really complicated things that challenges the way even established theologians see things. How much of that have shaped the way you see the world at the moment? Or maybe I should ask, how does Sheikh Imran Hosein see the world at the moment?
I see the world through truth and not through lies. I see the world through actual reality rather than through appearances, at a time when appearance and reality are not the same. I see the truth through the Word of God, the one God. Whether you accept it or you don't is irrelevant to me. The Quran is the Word of God. And if you don't accept it, when you die on Judgment Day, you'll have to face the truth that the Quran is indeed the Word of the one God. And the truth the Quran says of itself that it is absolute truth. My scholarship is built on truth in the Quran.
And that sometimes, is, very sensitive for some at least, difficult to accept, because some would say there are versions of truth, or the truth can sometimes be subjective, which, is a complicated thought nonetheless. However, I want to maybe then understand whether, because there's been variations to this debate, you often were attacked for certain positions that some would say, discourages or moves away from, sort of mainstream scholarly work, etc., even on matters of hadith and so on that you disputed at some stage, not hadith as a principle, but certain types of hadith. And I'm wondering whether you find that the Muslim discourse has matured through the years to be able to accommodate discussions that would hopefully take us further in understanding matters of faith.
I am not a part of such discussions. I never enter into debate. I say, if you're not comfortable with my views, then don't accept them. I don't need your acceptance of my views. No. I follow the prophets of God who walked on the earth. And when they spoke the truth. And if you didn't accept it, they moved on. I'm not with any boxing gloves to fight with anyone, but if you come at me with a chip on your shoulder, I fight fire with fire.
Yeah.
But those who come to me humbly with thirst for knowledge in their hearts, I'm happy to present the Quran to them, absolute truth in the Quran. I know.
Only got 32 minutes to
Don't mind
go.
me while I skip the advert. So far we've got, is he a conspiracy theorist? We don't think so. He's dismissive of that term. I think we know that the CIA invented the term conspiracy theorist as a way to dismiss people. But there are conspiracy theorists who are absolute idiots. Some people believe the earth is flat. Sheikh Imran Hosein has recently clarified that he does not believe the earth is flat. The earth is round.
I will always remain a voice crying in the wilderness, especially in a world in which, when COVID came 3 years ago and the slave master said, stand 3 feet apart.
Okay.
And all the slaves stood up beautifully so, 3 feet apart. instead of resisting the slave master and being faithful to the truth, and saying, if I am not allowed, if the Lord is not allowing me to stand shoulder to shoulder.
I remember him clarifying this at the time, that if you need to suspend the congregational prayer, then do so. But you shouldn't change it and start praying 2-3 meters apart. If you have to abandon it temporarily, then pray in the home.
Let mainstream discourse go its way and leave me alone.
and I want to deal with I'm going to get to modern day politics in Syria and how it relates to historical interpretation. I've been grappling with this subject for the longest time over the last couple of weeks. But I want to maybe just talk about something that was seen to be terribly controversial. I always with keen interest wanting to ask you this question for very many years. Ya'juj and Ma'juj, Gog and Magog, that was a highly controversial viewpoint.
There's no controversy in Gog and Magog. It depends on what is your primary source of knowledge.
And what was
my primary source of knowledge is the Quran. Their primary source of knowledge is other than the Quran. So then, where do we go?
And your argument is that this
the primary source of knowledge for me is the Quran. The primary
Gog and Magog are mentioned in the Bible. I assume it's a Hebrew name, and Juj and Majuj is the Arabic equivalent in the Quran.
But what I want to understand is, are you saying that period of Ya'juj and Ma'juj is the period? Is it a physical, appearance? What do you understand by the arrival?
What you should ask me is not what I am saying, but ask me what does the Quran say. I'd be happy to tell you what is in the Quran.
Let's go
because
there.
These are not my views. This is based on the Quran. And of course it will take some time to explain the subject of Gog and Magog. I have written something like 31 books already. My 32nd book, The Quran and Russia's Destiny, is now being printed. And my 33rd book on Dajjal's footprints in time, I just spoke last night at Masjid al-Qarar on the system of sacred time in Islam.
For some reason, a lot of people think that Gog and Magog are the Chinese or other East Asian nations, and I don't think that's what Sheikh Imran Hosein says about Gog and Magog. In fact, I'm certain he doesn't say that.
The Quran that Gog and Magog are human beings.
They're human beings, though.
Not some funny creatures living in the interior of the earth. I don't know from which garbage bin that rubbish came from. My language is harsh.
It is.
Yes, but I'm tired of people who have betrayed the truth. If you want knowledge, go first to the Quran, don't go elsewhere. And when you go to the Quran, you know there are three kinds of beings. There are the angels, there are jinn, and there are human beings. Not funny creatures living inside the earth with 24 ears and 3 noses. No.
Yeah.
Human beings. And human beings don't live in the interior of the earth. Where did that stupidness come from? Human beings live on the surface of the earth.
So how does one determine, or not you, but as you say, Quran is your foundation, that these Ya'juj and Ma'juj are expressed in the form of human beings and that they are already here?
That's a good question. I like good questions. The Quran speaks of Gog and Magog as those who commit fasad. Good. Now then, stay with me. There are only three kinds of beings. There are angels, there are jinn, and there are human beings. The Quran does not speak of anything else other than these three. If it does, then kindly give us the information from the Quran about some other kinds of creatures created by Allah who are creatures capable of committing fasad. Because fasad is a sinful deed. Animals don't commit sin. I don't think even in South Africa animals don't commit sin. trees and plants don't commit sin. Birds don't commit sin. Only human beings and jinn commit sin, not angels.
Because they've been given choice.
Human beings and jinn have a free will.
Yeah.
And as a consequence can commit sin. And if Yajuj and Majuj commit fasad, then even a schoolboy will know they have to be either human beings or jinn. But we have to eliminate jinn. Why? Because when Zulkarnain built a barrier built of blocks of iron, and he blocked the passage in between the mountains, then Yajuj and Majuj could neither penetrate nor could not scale that barrier. They were contained. But you can't contain jinn with a barrier or a wall. They will pass through the wall. And therefore even a schoolboy will come to the conclusion that Yajuj and Majuj are not angels, Yajuj and Majuj are not jinn, Yajuj and Majuj are human beings. But this elementary analysis is beyond their capacity to comprehend. So what can I do with these critics?
And I think personally for me, if that foundation, stands, would you then say they are two individual persons, or would you say they represent two types of people in which, you talk about forces of good and Quran talks about forces of good and forces of evil?
No, they are not good. There is no evidence at all in the Quran, the basis of which you can say people who commit fasad can possibly be good.
Sure, but what I'm asking is it a type of people, or are we talking about a specific person? Because in different streams of faith, there is this waiting for a Messiah, and what that Messiah will look like, etc. Is it one particular individual that we're talking about?
There is nothing at all